All right, we're back. Enjoyed Championship Sunday this past weekend, but it's time to get back to talking Texans. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. I'm going to be providing you guys with content throughout the off season as well as going into next season. So subscribe, hang along for the ride here. But let's get straight into this. Some interesting development. Um, Going on today. The Senior Bowl is being held today on Alabama. I know a lot of eyes are on that, but some interesting news getting put out today in regards of Bobby Slowik and CJ Stroud. Obviously, Bobby Slowik was just fired around mid last week. So, and there's some interesting development going on here. And let's just talk about this for a second. We're gonna get into the video that kind of sparked this whole thing. It's kind of got the internet buzzing right now. Apparently, Bobby Slowik and CJ Stroud had some sort of beef, some sort of tension going into the draft process. This is way back before CJ was even a member of the Texans. Kind of like their pre-draft visits or whatever. You know how the prospects go and visit certain teams that are interested and kind of go over some things. I'm not too sure how all that works, but yeah, let's see here. This was put out by Robert Land on X. So if you guys want to go check this out, I got it right here. But this was Robert Land put this out, like I said, but this was John Granado and Lance Zerline on their podcast. So if you guys want to go check that out, it's right here as well. But let's just listen to this and kind of react to it in regards to any type of CJ Stroud and Bobby Slug beef.
I'll tell you the whole thing now that Slowik's gone. C.J. Stroud came to visit the Texans, and Bobby Slowik was telling them, okay, they were watching stuff on tape. Now, before I tell you this, when CJ was at Ohio State, he really didn't talk to the OC at all. He didn't think he knew ball. This coming from somebody who knows CJ intimately. He didn't think the offense coordinator was very smart. So he would only talk to Ryan Day. Ryan Day was the guy who had to communicate with CJ, which I didn't love that, honestly, before the draft process. And it played into some of my thoughts on CJ in terms of coachability. What I heard was that he didn't like his communication was Ryan Day and not the offense coordinator. Okay, well, that's a little strange, but whatever. He comes into Houston. Bobby Slowik is trying to tell him some stuff, and CJ just says, "Oh yeah, I know that we call this whatever XY switch, whatever it would be at Ohio State." And apparently, maybe it happened a couple times, and Bobby Slowik just kind of jumped him and said, "I don't give a what you call Ohio State. That's college. This is pro football." And Bobby kind of got in his face about it, And CJ's not one to back down at all. And CJ, and I don't know if Bobby was testing him or I don't know what the deal was, but CJ jumped up and got back in his face. And it was very contentious. It had to be kind of broken up. And so when CJ went to his next draft meeting, and I talked to the team where CJ went, because I asked this team, "Hey, did you hear anything about this with CJ Stroud?" And they said, "Oh, we asked CJ how his last visit went, which was Houston. And he said, terrible. I don't think I'll be going there." And people who train, like CJ's whole crew, did not want him to go to Houston. And they didn't think he was going to Houston because it was he and Bobby got into it. And then CJ was drafted by Houston, which that's one of the reasons I was really surprised. Like I kind of wrote, after finding that out, I wrote CJ off from the Texans. And I thought, okay, this is Will Anderson for sure. And so when they traded for him, I was very surprised because I knew there was that lingering stuff there. But then in discussing all of it last year, I heard it was squashed. Like there was no issue. Bobby and him were.
All right. So, I mean, what the hell do we think of that? That's obviously interesting to say the least. I mean, I have a few questions to ask, and I don't even know. The first one is, what the hell is wrong with Bobby Slowik? I don't know if he was trying to get under CJ's skin, or if he's like trying to set an example, try to humble him or whatever, But the thing about this is this isn't high school, man. You can't just go into, a young prospect's get into a young prospect's face and start screaming at him, man. This is the NFL. This isn't high school, man. Like, come on, Bobby. What the hell are we doing? I mean, shit. And the fact that it was all just like diminished. Like the problem was just put to rest after the Texans drafted CJ Stroud is pretty interesting to me. That tells me that it's probably not as serious as people are making it out to be. I mean, the bottom line is we don't know what goes behind the scenes at all, really. You know, there could be a lot of things that, nobody will ever know about the Houston Texans organization. But I mean, for the offensive coordinator to just get into CJ's face while they're watching tape for a pre-draft meeting, it seems pretty excessive to me. And the fact that CJ got back up and got back into Bobby's face, I mean, makes me think that there was bad blood from the start. I mean, shit, what do I know? But that's interesting. That's an interesting development being talked about right now. Obviously, it's being brought to light now that Bobby Slowik's gone. And did that play a factor into decision made firing Bobby Slowik by D'Amico Ryans? Because obviously that's something D'Amico knows. It's not like that just happened and D'Amico doesn't know about it. But I don't know. That's interesting to me. Let me know what y'all think about it. I mean, it is what it is to me, I guess. Now that it's over with, Bobby Slowik's gone. I mean, it really has nothing to do with the Texans anymore. So, some other news in regards to the Texans camp, they hold multiple interviews for the vacant offensive coordinator position. I saw Aaron Wilson put this out earlier or later yesterday. See if we can pull it up. Hang on with me for a second. Oh, well, I can't find it. But basically, they interviewed Gerard Johnson for the vacant offensive coordinator position. We knew that was going to happen. But a surprise candidate, Jeff Nixon. Jeff Nixon is he is the Syracuse offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator at Baylor for a while, and when Matt Rule was hired on to the Carolina Panthers, remember that short stint or whatever, it didn't really work out with Matt Rule and the Panthers, but whenever Matt Rule was hired onto the Panthers, Jeff Nixon, I'm not too sure what his role was on the staff, but we all know Joe Brady was the offensive coordinator at the time for Matt Rule in Carolina, and Joe Brady got fired, which is kind of surprising to say now that he's, thriving with the Buffalo Bills and all. But he got fired. Jeff Nixon took over and called, I don't know, what was it, around 5 or so games. It wasn't that great, to be honest. Obviously the Panthers were a dumpster fire at that time. So, I mean, it's hard to expect. If Joe Brady can't lead the Carolina Panthers offense, well, then I don't think anybody will be able to be honest. But Jeff Nixon is an interesting interview because nobody expected this, like literally nobody. So yeah, it's interesting. Some interesting facts about Jeff Nixon and the Syracuse offense is I saw this on X. Let me pull it up. This is from Sam Warren of the Houston Chronicle. Let's just pull this up real quick. All right. And he put out like an entire Jesus, I mean, look at all this. This is interesting. He actually went to school at Syracuse. He played Syracuse football. So shout out to Sam of the Houston Chronicle. If y'all want to go check this out, it's on X. Make sure y'all give him a follow. He says some interesting notes about Syracuse's offense with Jeff Nixon interviewing for the Texans offensive coordinator job. Says Syracuse liked to get the ball out quick. Kyle McCord was 5th in time to throw, 2.4 seconds, minimum of 350 attempts. CJ Stroud had the 4th highest time to throw in the NFL this season at 2.97 seconds. So that's interesting because we know with Bobby Slowik, he liked the long developing plays. They like to implement play action a lot. And a lot of CJ Stroud and the Texans' success came from, deep dropbacks and firing those deep in cuts over the middle to whoever it is, mostly Nico Collins. But that's interesting because say they were to hire Jeff Nixon as the offensive coordinator, it seems like he's the type of guy that likes to get the ball out quick. So that is interesting. And another interesting fact that I see about this is Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord was the Ohio State um, quarterback last year, and he got a lot of shit towards thrown him. A lot of people wrote him off or whatever. I don't want to say it's exactly like CJ this year, but obviously CJ didn't play great this year, and he received a lot of heat on the internet. A lot of people saying he fell off and stuff, and it's similar to Kyle McCord, from who played for Syracuse this year, similar to how he was at Ohio State last year. A lot of people wrote him off, said he wasn't that good, and then he transferred to Syracuse, and he was the leading passer in all of college football this year, which is very interesting. Hmm. All right. This is another interesting fact. Syracuse offense let up a lot of pressure. McCord's 172 pressures in 13 games were fifth most in the country. Though given McCord's astronomical 640 dropbacks, that came out to a pressure rate of 26.9%. Stroud was pressured on 39.4% of his 701 dropbacks this year. So this tells me that the offensive line was, below average at Syracuse, and he was able to make it work. He was able to make it work. Their rushing defense, their rushing attack at Syracuse was okay. I know they had 1,000-yard rusher. I think he states that later on in this, but let's just keep reading this. The Orange also spread the ball out a ton. They had 4 players with 50-plus catches and 5 with 500-plus receiving yards. One of those was running back LaQuint Allen. Houston often struggled to get all options involved, with Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz having limited impacts until late in the year. That is true. I'm not too sure what the deal was with Tank Dell earlier on in the season. It almost seems like Bobby Slowik just forgot that Tank Dell was even a part of the team. I mean, Tank Dell didn't have, a good performance until the game versus Kansas City when he went down. That was Tank Dell's best performance of the season. And it didn't happen to what was that, week 16? So I find that pretty ridiculous. And I want to say that's a factor in why Bobby Slowik lost the locker room, is because he wasn't getting the players that needed to be involved. So that's interesting. The Orange also found ways to create space for the players after the catch. Cuse had 2,099 yards after catch overall, and Allen and Trevor Pena ranked in the top 25 in the country. The Texans had 1,840 yards after the catch and ranked 24th in the regular season. Not good. Lastly, Cuse's offense was also up to par in the clutch. They ranked 8th in the country in third down percentage, which is what we kind of saw a lot of Stroud's rookie year. It was kind of like, run the ball on first down, maybe pass, but also run the ball on second down. And it was they were always kind of in these third and long situations, and it was like, CJ, save us. Which I know isn't ideal, but we know it's something CJ can do. We've seen it happen, which is why he was, why his rookie year was as sensational as it was. And he's in all, Nixon flourished with Syracuse, where the Texans really floundered last season. That, combined with his multiple stops in the NFL and previous experience calling plays for Panthers, making him an intriguing to Houston, an unexpected but strong candidate for the offensive coordinator job. And that's true. I didn't even know who this guy was, to be honest, before they interviewed him. So that's interesting. Let me know what y'all think about it. Obviously, they interviewed Gerard Johnson as well. We kind of know what he's about. But the thing about Gerard is, you fired Bobby Slowik. Why did you fire Bobby Slowik? It's because he regressed. Let's just be real. He was getting head coaching interviews. A lot of people thought, or a lot of Texans fans' fantasies were Bobby Slowik has another great year. He takes the next step. CJ Stroud takes the next step. Gerard Johnson takes the next step in developing CJ Stroud. And then, eventually Bobby Slowik gets a head coaching gig and you promote Gerard Johnson to offensive coordinator. A lot of people hoped that was what happened, but obviously the regression of Bobby Slowik, the regression of CJ Stroud, the regression of Gerard Johnson, question mark. I mean, if you're going to fire Bobby Slowik and then hire the quarterback coach who also had, a part in CJ Stroud's regression and the entire offense's regression, that'd be an interesting hire to me. The question would be why, considering, what I just stated, regression. I don't think they'll hire Gerard. I think they're going to hire someone outside of the building. That's just my opinion. But yeah, man, a lot of interesting stuff going on with the Texans right now. Like I said, the Senior Bowl is being held today. Sooner rather than later, the Texans will hire their offensive coordinator, and I'll be providing you guys with insight to that. We're gonna have draft coverage as well, all that stuff. I'm not a big mock draft type of guy. I don't really do that stuff, but we'll react to all Texans news and stuff like that. But other than that, that'll be it for today. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on X at Evan Cervantes. I'm posting every day, providing you guys with insight, reactions, context of different things and all that. But thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.